Hello, this is Sakashita from Alpha Advisors. Today, I would like to share some special good news for those considering taking the MBA entrance exam and applying to overseas universities. When it comes to MBA programs and overseas graduate schools, most Japanese applicants will need to take an English test. As mentioned in the title, many who have studied abroad have prepared for tests like TOEFL and IELTS. I have also gone through this process myself. I believe that many who are currently preparing for their exams are also focusing on TOEFL and IELTS. However, some may be struggling with these tests. Well, first of all, the test duration is long, and while there is now a home edition available, you still have to go to a test center. The procedures can be quite cumbersome, and there can be a lot of changes as well. However, today I want to talk about how Duolingo has become the sole option for English tests. Duolingo, you see, became particularly relevant a little while ago, especially with the COVID-19 situation, which made it difficult to go to test centers. Recently, there has been quite a bit of discussion about cooking language, both in Japan and at Alpha Advisors. Compared to the difficulty of TOEFL and IELTS, the Duolingo test has fewer long passages and is quite a unique test. I want to talk about how some schools are incorporating Duolingo as an option. However, now we see that top American MBA programs, such as Harvard, Chicago, and Wharton, are starting to recognize it. It's more than half, I think. Since there are 4 schools, many have adopted it, and additionally, quite a few schools in Europe and the United States are increasingly adopting Duolingo. Regarding overseas universities, in the case of MBA programs, currently only Harvard, Wharton, and Kellogg are accepting it, but the number of American schools is steadily increasing. You know, it seems like almost everything has been adopted, including Stanford. Harvard, which represents the Ivy League, is also on board, and many Japanese students are studying at public universities in New York as well. As I will show you later, overseas universities are almost entirely accepting Duolingo, and many MBA programs are increasingly adopting this test quietly. I think the number of schools adopting this will continue to increase. So today, I would like to introduce some schools that are incorporating this. I also want to discuss what kind of test Duolingo is and what kind of preparation should be done for it. At Alpha Advisors, we have been supporting the career advancement of working professionals for the past 15 years. Recently, without global adaptability or specialization, it has become really difficult to survive, even for Japanese companies. With foreign funds coming in, there is a lack of specialization and global responsiveness. We don't need people who can't do it anymore. Just recently, there was an early retirement within the company, and I believe there were about 2,000 candidates for that. With the announcement of restructuring, there are indeed many working professionals who want to pursue an MBA abroad, especially given the current strong yen. I think it's a very good timing for those looking to study abroad. Of course, for those who already have expertise or are globally oriented and even hold an MBA, we are actively providing support for job changes. Many of them are particularly interested in moving into trading companies, finance, or consulting. I see. Well, we also support job hunting after the MBA, and today, particularly regarding MBA preparation, we focus on test preparation. Of course, we also offer support for TOEFL, IELTS, GMAT, GRE, and executive assessment, but the number of people choosing Duolingo at Alpha Advisors has overwhelmingly increased. However, there is no specific test that guarantees a higher chance of acceptance. This is something that admissions committees openly state. So today, I would like to focus specifically on Duolingo. While we will discuss test preparation for Duolingo, there are still schools that do not accept Duolingo. So if you wish to take the TOEFL or IELTS, please feel free to come to us. We also provide support for other tests like the GMAT and GRE, as well as assistance with choosing MBA programs and career planning. We offer comprehensive support throughout the entire process, so don't hesitate to reach out to us anytime. So I would like to get started right away. I myself studied abroad at the Teachers College of Columbia University after a career in healthcare, and now I am running a startup focused on alpha and AI. When I was applying, Duolingo did exist, but I had hardly heard of it. This was about 5 or 6 years ago, or maybe 6 or 7 years ago. However, in just the last few years, Duolingo has grown at an incredible pace. Actually, when I was applying to Columbia, I was preparing with IL2. Well, I was using Alpha, so it wasn't that much. I think I took it about 3 times. When I applied to Columbia University, I took it around 3 times and managed to get a score of 7.5. As for the TOEFL, when I applied for the doctoral program at the University of Tokyo, they only accepted the TOEFL, no? So I took that test. At that time, Duolingo was very convenient to take, and it has been increasing in popularity recently. I took it just a few days ago, and I will review it together later, but it is a really good test. It's very straightforward, and surprisingly, I found it quite easy. The difficulty level is low, making it easy to take, especially for speaking. I was wondering if it could really measure proficiency, but it actually resembles the TOEFL quite a bit. For instance, you talk about the speaking prompts presented on the computer, and there are questions like, "This is one way of thinking, but what do you think?" It really requires you to respond spontaneously, so I believe it can measure English proficiency quite accurately. So, what are my thoughts? Well, let's leave it at that for now. I would like to talk about the schools that actually incorporate this test today. Let's get started. I think it might be easier to look at each school's page, so I want to briefly explain the MBA application process to those who may be seeing this for the first time. Here we have Harvard Business School. Well, this is the process for applying to Harvard's MBA program. This is a page written about each school, and there are similar pages for each institution. It contains information like application guidelines and admission requirements. The format varies by school, but generally, you can find this information on application-related pages as well as on the admissions sections. Last year's requirements are written here, and it mentions things like submitting your grades. It also refers to English language tests, such as TOEFL and IELTS, as well as the Duolingo test that I will discuss today. There is also the PTE, which is included under the category of English language tests. However, it does not provide detailed requirements here. Basically, if you are a native English speaker, like in the United States, and if you have graduated from a university where the instruction is conducted in English, such as a bachelor's program, you generally do not need to take an English test. Therefore, people who have graduated from overseas universities usually do not take it. Additionally, those who have been living abroad for a long time, or those who have graduated from Japanese universities, likely learned in Japanese. So, basically, Japanese people need English in most cases. There are rare instances where it might not be necessary, but in the case of Harvard, for example, it is no exception. An English test is required, such as TOEFL, IELTS, or PTE. Schools that operate primarily in English may not require it, but for everyone else, it is stated that you should take the test. In the case of Harvard, there are minimum score requirements set for each test. Recently, very few places have established a minimum for English scores. Even if Harvard has such a requirement, surprisingly, many applicants with lower scores still get accepted, so there's no need to worry too much. However, Harvard does have these minimum score standards. They tend to have a high benchmark for English proficiency, and many students are quite proficient in English. So, this is basically an overview of the English test. As you can see, Duolingo has been included. And I think it was about 2 years ago that Harvard added Duolingo as well. Next, I'll quickly take a look at this. othe. The University of Pennsylvania is also one of the top schools in the American M7. As for Wharton, I think it might be starting this year. Originally, Wharton only accepted TOEFL scores. So, for those who want to apply to Wharton, TOEFL can be a bit tricky. It's quite difficult to achieve stable scores. However, for those who really want to attend Wharton and are working hard to take the TOEFL, or for those who have already graduated, I think it's fantastic news that they can now use Duolingo. It seems like it was added quietly. Next is Chicago Booth. It is also the alma mater of Miss Irizumi from Alpha, and it has been climbing the rankings significantly over the years, recently even reaching the top position consecutively. I apologize for the confusion regarding the 5T, but I believe Chicago did not have a round last year, so I think it will start from this year's round. Then there's Kellogg. Kellogg is also located in Chicago, just like Wharton, and it is one of the M7 schools. Kellogg has also added test scores for English proficiency as part of its requirements. Yes, here it is. It's the TOEFL, right? I think New York University has been incorporating Duolingo for quite some time now. Yes, New York University also mentions Duolingo on the test page. I apologize for the amount of text, but it is about the Duolingo test. Then there's Babson. Babson is also located in Boston. It's a wonderful school, and I am currently in Boston preparing for a campus tour next week. Just yesterday, I spoke with someone from Babson's admissions office. Babson is a great business school, so I wanted to hear various things from the admissions representative. Babson also accepts the Duolingo test, and they have a minimum score requirement of 130. For IELTS, it's 7.5, and for TOEFL, it's a certain score as well. In the Ivy League, a score of 100 is roughly equivalent to a 7.5 on the IELTS, with a total score of 160. It's a test that also includes cooking. Then there's TUC. TUC also incorporates Duolingo. Yes, it's written in the International Application section. Carnegie Mellon also incorporates cooking into its MBA program. By the way, Carnegie Mellon has adopted a simpler version of the GMAT called the Executive Assessment, EA, which I think makes the testing burden quite light. Cooking is also mentioned. Also, Banville is incorporating this as well. They are adopting Duolingo. Furthermore, it's not just in America. In Europe, HEC Paris is also one of the top schools in Europe, and they accept Duolingo as well. Where was it again? Oh, here it is. Ah, right. The TOEIC is also okay, but only for certain cases. Well, there aren't many schools that accept the TOEIC, so if you're taking the MBA, I think the Duolingo test would be a good option. It feels like that. Additionally, as a side note, there are schools that do not require English scores at all. Well, if we talk about well-known ones, Columbia University is one of them. I apologize, but this is about the transcript. I think there are often frequently asked questions regarding the information that is not particularly required, but in the case of TOEFL or IELTS, they are not needed at all. So it's not that submitting them makes a difference. They simply do not require them. MIT also does not require them. This IT applies to both full-time candidates and those in the Sloan Fellows Program for mid-career professionals, as there is no requirement for test scores. This is an explanation for full-time candidates, so it doesn't mention EA. But for mid-career, the executive assessment is also acceptable. And what about English? Hey, was it quite far down? Well, it says it's not needed. Yes, it mentions the WeChat Apply to DMVA program. Then Duke University is also one of those schools that do not require English scores at all. Well, this is about universities other than MBIA, and this is the Duolingo website, which has the official name of the Duolingo English test. I would like you to take a look at which schools are adopting it. It mentions that there are over 4,000 institutions in North America. I wonder if you all knew that so many are adopting it. Well, there are various things written about graduate schools and universities, but if you take a quick look, you'll see. This ABC list is a bit of a mixed bag, but I encourage everyone to check it out. Regarding universities, Stanford, Harvard, and Columbia are among the schools that have largely adopted it. Well, there are quite a few people who want to transfer to Columbia University. Working professionals can also apply. It's a place where you can pursue a second bachelor's degree known as Columbia's GS, and they also accept the Duolingo test. And what I would like to share with everyone is, well, here we are. The school logo is also included. First of all, I would like to look at what points are good about this, such as the O-ring igloo sense. I would like to borrow a page here, but first of all, everything can be taken online, meaning everyone can take it from home. Yes, and it's fast. Yes, you can get results quickly. It's within 48 hours for 40 hours, but there's also something like an express option. I tried it out, and if you make an additional payment, you can receive the results within 12 hours. This is great, right? Students are busy, so there's no worry about not having taken the test. With 12 hours, you can get the results. Plus, it's inexpensive. It's only $49 for one time. Other tests cost around $200. But the certification tests are quite expensive, often over $200. Of course, compared to the tuition for an MBA, it's cheaper. But still, one might feel that it's unnecessary to spend money in such places while also saying that self-investment is important. As I mentioned earlier, I have taken the IELTS about 3 times, and I also took the TOEFL once. Well, probably many of your seniors who have taken the MBA or graduate school exams have taken the tests 20, 30, or even 40 times before getting their scores. Just the exam fees alone could easily reach 1,000,000 yen or more. So it seems that past candidates have spent quite a bit on MBA exam fees, often around 2 to 3 million yen, including the test costs. It's 500,000. I think there were people who said it was 1,000,000, but times have really improved. Now, you can take such inexpensive tests at home, and you can receive results in as little as 12 hours. Also, the test duration is short. Yes, I wrote it in about 45 minutes, but I think it generally takes around 45 minutes to an hour. Well, for the TOEFL and IELTS, it takes quite a bit longer, usually around 2 to 3 hours. Some people might worry about the possibility of interruptions or errors during the tests taken at home, but I have also taken other home edition tests, and compared to those, this one was very smooth. So the verification of the ID and passport is done quickly, almost in a snap, and everything moves really fast. As for the content of the tests, to be honest, I initially had the impression that they were quite easy. In other tests, like the TOEFL or IELTS, there are several passages for reading comprehension, and you have to deal with multiple long texts, right? But here, the long texts are different. Well, there isn't really a long reading comprehension section like a typical A41 sheet, so I was wondering if such a format could actually measure English proficiency. But after taking the test, I truly understood why top schools like Harvard have adopted it. I'm not affiliated with any of the companies behind it, but I do hope that one day I could collaborate with them. It's not about forcing anyone to take the test. I genuinely think it's a great option. Yes, I think everyone should definitely try it out. You can practice cooking exercises for free on Duolingo, and I believe it would be beneficial for you to give it a go. Well, it says that it's convenient, quick, and affordable anywhere in the world. Yes. And there are 5 more points. You can also submit results without any additional costs. This might seem like a small detail, but many other tests have limits on how many submissions are free, or they might be free if sent on the spot, but incur extra charges if submitted later. However, Duolingo does not have such issues. It seems like this, and there isn't really a specific frequency. You don't have to wait several weeks or anything like that. Once you receive your results, you can take the next test. As a little bonus, I wanted to talk about who developed Duolingo and the people behind it, as I think it's quite remarkable. I found a well-organized article from NewsPicks, so I decided to refer to a slightly older article from 2019. It mentions that the developer is a university professor from Guatemala. It's about the cat, isn't it? This is the first major operation story from Pittsburgh, and at that time, the valuation was around $700 million, with actually 300 million users. After cooking, there's this image of a test in Japan, but it's actually an online learning app. I really hope everyone can take a look at this. Luis von Ahn, well, originally, he was at his master's place. The study environment is not very well established. Well, if people around the world could speak English better, they would definitely have more job opportunities. With the motivation to deliver such learning, Duolingo was developed by this individual. In fact, he is originally an incredibly talented and exceptional person. And even before Duolingo, he had already achieved significant accomplishments. It's about technology. In particular, he developed security technology and sold it to Google for tens of millions of dollars. After that, he created Duolingo, which is now spreading all over the world. After all, he is really good at business, and I have a personal interest in various business models. Anyway, it is said that he developed this together with faculty members from the student program at Carnegie Mellon University. I encourage everyone to take a look. Lastly, regarding the measures that are of interest. At Alpha, we offer personalized tutoring. This includes Duolingo, as well as TOEFL and IELTS. And we also provide support for GMAT and GRE. Anyway, the preparation for the ALBA test is quite inexpensive, The TOEFL and IELTS are also around a little over 100,000 yen. Well, the preparation here might be around 500,000 to 600,000 yen. It seems to be somewhat in line with the market rates in Japan and overseas. But you don't have to spend that much since it's an English test. If everyone just focuses on repetition and the right preparation, they should be fine. After about a month of using Duolingo, you can see a significant improvement in your scores. For the TOEFL, while the scoring can be a bit difficult to interpret, I believe that with 3 to 6 months of preparation, you can achieve a good score on the IELTS as well. However, there aren't as many preparation books available for the cooking section as there are for the TOEFL or IELTS. That's why an excellent English instructor from Alpha has provided various strategies for Duolingo on a platform called AlphaNote. I would like to take a look at the problem format, and I find the writing strategies and grading criteria to be quite interesting. The person in question can almost achieve a perfect score, but they intentionally solve problems in a way that shows how the scores would turn out. This is a mock exam, as the actual test cannot be recorded, so they are solving the mock exam. They explained solving problems and shared the thought processes of the English instructor. Also, the fill-in-the-blank questions have quite a few distinctive features. I hope everyone will take a look at them later, but this is a characteristic that isn't found in tests like TOEFL or IELTS. I think many people find this relatively easy. It's structured in a way that really resembles a fill-in-the-blank format, where you might see something like, please fill in the 4 letters for the word related to the sun. However, not everything is a complete blank. Sometimes parts of the words are provided. For example, in this case, it might be Japan and the United States. It says smartphone angry, but well, there's a test where you fill in the blanks. This can be quite difficult to approach on your own, and you might think there's no way to prepare for it. However, there are plenty of practice problems available on AlphaNote, so please take a look. Additionally, as you can see now, there are quite a few unique patterns of questions. So, I encourage everyone to use AlphaNote while also taking advantage of the personalized tutoring options, which you can use for free. Please make good use of it. So, in that sense, at AlphaNote, experienced instructors provide one-on-one online support. Initially, we have an online kickoff meeting where we discuss your needs. And after that, you can consult via chat anytime, 24/7. We focus on your strengths and areas for improvement. Our English instructors are very experienced, having taught at a major preparatory school, and they will help identify your strengths and areas for improvement. Yes, they will also help you create a learning plan. Moreover, what is really important in studying English is to consistently study in the right way. Well, to elaborate on that, I would really like you to talk to the specialized instructors and advisors at AlphaNote. You know, pacing can be difficult, especially when you're busy, tired, or feeling discouraged. It can be challenging to keep going, but we will work through it together. We will keep pushing you to maintain your study momentum. Also, regarding time management, some people might find the time constraints of Duolingo quite tough, as there are strict time limits. It comes out quickly, so I also share techniques related to that, as well as strategies for the unique types of questions in each section that we discussed earlier. I encourage everyone to take the Duolingo test, which is quite reasonable compared to other tests, and you can take it as many times as you like, making it easy to practice. So, there were quite a few schools that were accepting applications just now. Well, it's only a part of it, but I wanted to share a little about your tests. As for the strategy, should I take the TOEFL or the IELTS? Please feel free to consult about whether to go with just Duolingo or other options. So everyone, let's go global together this year. If we start preparing now, we can definitely make it in time for studying abroad in 2025. As for tests, if the school you want to attend doesn't accept them, there's not much we can do. However, if it's a school that accepts Duolingo or has exemptions, then test preparation won't take much time or money. Additionally, we need to focus on choosing the right school, career planning, and preparing for the exam schedule. Basil, I would like us to set this up together first, and then I hope you can prepare from there. If you are interested in individual tutoring or have questions about your career or studying abroad, We receive many inquiries about these topics. No matter how small your concerns may be, please start with a free consultation. From there, we can discuss English preparation strategies, MBA essays, career plans, and anything else you need assistance with through individual tutoring. We look forward to your inquiries. Yes, I have a question. Thank you. Please. Yes, I have been spending a lot of money on TOEFL preparation, but I was struggling because my scores weren't improving much. If I start preparing for the Duolingo test at Alpha Note now, will I see results quickly? Yes, I believe so. The reason is that, well, I don't know how much preparation I had for the TOEFL, but at least memorizing vocabulary and what I did won't go to waste. I also took the IELTS at Alpha, but I really want to get my scores quickly. Many people switch or make slight changes, such as moving from TOEFL to another test. When I see those individuals, it seems that they can achieve high scores quite easily. Yes, especially if they have been preparing for TOEFL, they might find it easier to adapt. There are also similarities with speaking tests that are common to TOEFL, so I believe it will be manageable for them. So it's not that you shouldn't take the TOEFL. As I mentioned earlier, it's available at a very affordable price, so I think it's a good idea to try it once. You can also create an account easily, and you can take the test right there on the spot. It doesn't take much time, about an hour for the exam, so I encourage everyone to give it a try. For preparation, please come to Alpha Note, and if you happen to be taking the TOEFL, and you can score something like 130 points right there, that would be great. If you want to improve your score, please feel free to consult with us. Yes, I think Cooking Apple is a popular application. That's right. The marketing is quite impressive, and they are expanding their influence rapidly in various places. Starting next week, there will be a report from the business school on campus, and we will incorporate Duolingo into that. We will also be going to Chicago and Harvard. As for this business bit, that's about it. Well, Baboos has mentioned it, but I would like to delve a bit deeper into the topic of Duolingo. So please, look forward to it. So I encourage everyone to achieve their MBA studies as quickly as possible, as I believe that your future career is very important. The MBA is just a stepping stone in terms of exams, so let's work together to finish the testing process swiftly, allowing you to succeed in your future career. We look forward to your inquiries. Thank you, and goodbye.